Hey, good morning. So today we're looking at tissues, the first sections of tissue. So what is a tissue? We know that it's cells that have a common function and they are working together. They could be hard, they can be semi-solid, or they can be liquid. So looking at bone versus fat versus blood. Histology as a science is looking at tissues. When you have a biopsy and stuff at the doctor's office, like maybe there's cancer, there's a lump or something like that, they send it off to a pathologist who's going to be studying cells and tissues and looking at the start of disease. So they do a lot of work together. There's four main types of tissues. Epithelial is going to be everything that is protecting our body or comes into contact with the external environment. So lines the hollow organs. Think about that. Food comes into our bodies and could have like bacteria or something on it. So we've got it there, forming our different glands, stuff like that. Connective tissue, protection, support, binding organs. So like when we think of ligaments and things like that. Muscular, anything for movement, body heat. I'm pretty sure we know what muscles are in our body. Okay, so looking at that, and that's like for actual muscle, not just like smooth, not just striated or cardiac. Okay, so it's all of it. And then the nervous tissue, which is its own special thing, but all of your nerves generating nerve impulses, right? Generating basically electrical currents throughout your body. So then we look at tissue development. We've got the ectoderm, the mesoderm or mesoderm, and endoderm. And so these are like the three things that we start off being when we're a little embryo growing inside of mom and we just look like a little tadpole. Or I guess even before we look like an actual tadpole, we just kind of look like a jelly bean. These are the three things that we're made up of. And so the epithelial terms, epithelial tissue can develop from any of these layers. Okay, all connective tissue and most of our muscles come from the mesoderm. And then the nervous tissue develops from the endoderm, which this is supposed to say ectoderm here. There we go. Hang on. Let's fix it while we're here. Okay. So then, getting back in, we have this here. Right? Okay. So, the endoderm here on the inside part is our everything that becomes our gut, our digestive organs, things like that. So all of the membranes that line that as well comes from the endoderm. Then the mesoderm kind of makes sense. Muscles are between that middle layer and our outsides, right? So this makes all of your body wall. If you remember from dissecting the pig back in biology, that shiny wall on the inside of the pig's abdomen, that would all be made from the mesoderm. It also makes all of these things listed here. And then the ectoderm is what's going to actually make our skin and our nervous tissue. So the question is, why is this important? Why do we need to really know about how they all develop? Have you ever thought about when you're sick, all of the symptoms that you get tend to not be related to each other? You've got a runny nose, itchy eyes, a cough, a sore throat. All these things aren't actually, like, it doesn't seem like they're related, but it actually comes from the fact that all of those different places where you're itching or hurting are derived from epithelial tissue. So that's actually why you have those different, what seem like seemingly unrelated symptoms. That was always like the most profound thing that I remember learning from a professor in college, was that that's why you have all of these weird symptoms, like, right? Why do I have a sore throat and weakness or dizziness? Or why do I have itchy eyes and diarrhea? Or, don't make it personal, but you get what I'm saying. They just seem so unrelated, but it turns out it's because of what tissues they develop from. So then for the mesoderm, this is where all your muscle comes from. Kidneys, ureters, reproductive organs, all of these things about your bones and cartilage. Dentin is for your teeth, right? If you've heard of mesothelioma, right? That is going to be, generally we think of like our lungs, but there's lining within there that, within our lungs with bones and cartilage, right? So for the like trachea down to the bronchioles and stuff like that, is coming from this layer. I actually have my aunt has mesothelioma, not in her lungs though, in her abdomen. So actually the lining of her abdominal cavity has all of these like little tumors that pop up, and it's never going to go away because it's in the cells that make up all of these other cells. And then we have the ectoderm. There's a condition where people can't sweat, so hypohidrotic ectodermal dysplasia. And so there's actually an issue with their skin development that prevents them from being able to sweat. They don't have proper sweat glands. So that's related to the development of this tissue. That's basically the big stuff here, right? We see that in our non-mammals, that would make an exoskeleton. For us, it makes our skin and nails. Yeah. But for the epithelium that grows from the ectoderm, it gives us the epidermis, mammary glands, oil glands, sweat glands, nails, hair. So then we get into epithelial tissues, and so I'm going to pause here and make this a separate video. But summarizing what we talked about, the three main types of tissue development: endoderm, mesoderm, ectoderm. Okay, going back to here, the four main types of tissues that everything's going to fit into: epithelial, everything for protection of the from the external environment. Epithelial, we'll find in the next section, it is going to have a bunch of layers. Okay. Usually. Sometimes it'll be like single layered to have gas exchange, but layers are going to be a big important part of how they function. Connective tissue. When we think of fascia, ligaments, things like that, it's going to come from connective tissue, like your cartilage in your ears and your nose. And then muscular tissue, and then nervous tissue. So the next section that we're going to do is start off with epithelial tissues, and I will see you there.